take your mask off because we're at a distance and you're going to need your nose. Right, the reason we've got you down here is that the government have said students to have 3 tests whilst they're at school. So we're being allowed to bring you in before school starts, and the idea of those 3 tests is that you will learn to be competent to test yourself. The tests should arrive, so there'll be a slight difference with the home testing. I'll explain that as we go along. So the idea is you are going to learn how to do it. I'm just going to guide you, but I'm not going to be actually doing any part of it for you at all. So there's a few things you need to be aware of. If it's positive, it could be that you had COVID in the preceding 90 days, but actually you felt great. You didn't even notice that you had it. So the trouble is, though, it will be positive, so you will have to isolate for 10 days. And I don't want any panic if anybody is positive. It's great. We just want to know who's got it. We know that as much as 1 in 3, 1 in 4 in the population have had it. So I expect we might get some positive. They may be true positives, that you're actively got the infection, or they may be positives that are just because you've had it preceding. So if it's positive, I don't want any panicking going on for positives. It's fine, it's great, you'll just isolate and we'll take it from there. If we get a void, which means that the test, when we look at it after half an hour when the test is finished, something's gone wrong, the thing hasn't worked properly or the sample wasn't right, then we'd have to call you back to do another test. So whilst you're in school, you're going to do the test, you have to wait 30 minutes after that. You don't need to wait for 30 minutes, you need to get back on to your lessons or for the first test to get back on home. So if after 30 minutes I call you back, don't panic. It might just be that I need you to do it again. So far we haven't had any voids, so hopefully that won't happen. We're going to start off doing the test now. There is a little crib sheet there for you. You just need to check you've got everything you need for your test. You'll have a packet, which is the actual LFD, they call it lateral flow device. You'll have the swab, which I describe as being like a bottle brush. When you get it out, we'll have a closer look at it. It does look like a bottle brush. This turns into a pipette by magic, because that little thing goes over the top. And at home you'll need some sort of a timer, but you've all got phones and you're far more tech savvy than me. The other thing that there will be is a buffer solution. Now this is what we have in our big test kits. Looking at the internet, it looks like what you're going to get in the home test. You know when you have sushi and it has the lovely little fish shaped things that's got the soy sauce in? That's what it looks like you're going to get. So it'll be pre-measured amount, but we now have to measure the amount. So you need to take the top off that, and it's only the first top bit. Whoops, sorry. The little bit at the top. Nope. Yeah, that's it. Then pick that up, and you need to put 6 drops in, but try not to touch the edge. Above it, and put the drops in. Squeeze gently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lovely. Then you can put the lid back on that. Now obviously that has to stay upright, because if it lies flat, the fluid will fall out. So we're using these little trays, but so you can just hang it on, put it on the edge like it was before. Yep, that's lovely. At home, some people are using egg cups. I don't know if you've got egg cups, or a plate or something like that, just so it's up. As you can see, it doesn't have to be flat. Totally upright. It just doesn't need to be flat. So that's the first bit. You've done that bit there. And you put your drops in, and you need to keep it doesn't have to be totally upright, but you need to keep it upright so it doesn't fall out. You're then going to blow your nose, wash your hands, and then get the swab out. Basically, we don't want lumps of bogies. We want the juice, we want the more liquid stuff, so that's why we need to blow our nose first. If you're prone to nosebleeds, then if you get a bleeding nose, you're going to have to throw that swab away and use another swab and use the nostril that didn't bleed. We're not doing throats. There's lots of problems with doing throats. One is actually finding out where you're going to do it and doing it properly, and that's when you often get voids because it's not done correctly. But if you do both nostrils, then that is absolutely fine. So you need to tip out your kit. So if you open up your test first, right, so when you tip it out, as Jemima did, make sure you touch the edges, make sure you don't touch any of these little holes here. So that with the S next to it, that's the S for sample port. That's where, when we've finished, you're going to put 2 drops into it. And the longer one up here, there's a C for control, or cool, everything's fine. A T for it's the positive, so it means you need to test again. So we'll do that at the end. I'll show you what the bars look like, but that's what it looks like. And that is the S for sample, is where your 2 drops have to go in, and try not to touch it. Hence you'll notice Jemima touched the edges and I'm pushing it around with a pen so we don't touch it. All the rubbish goes into your domestic waste. And then clean your hands. Pick up the swab, and if you just show to the camera how it's got an arrow which shows you which way to open. There. So you open from the top, there's an arrow, and then you lift it out. Basically, you're now going to bottle brush clean your nose. This is the more unpleasant bit, girls, sorry. This is the bit where this squidgy part of your nose, it needs to go higher up. It does make you cry and it does make you sneeze. I've done it loads of times. It's not pleasant, I'm not going to lie to you, but neither is it life-threatening or awful. It's just not very nice. Hopefully Jemima is going to demonstrate how it's not very nice, but it's okay to do. You might need a mirror. Depends. Do you need a mirror?
I think we are.
Sometimes you can't work out where your nostril is and you need a mirror, so there are mirrors available. So it goes up the nostril quite far. Look how far it's going up. That looks, yep, lovely. You really feel it going up. It's quite uncomfortable. Might make you cry, might make you sneeze. 10 seconds each side, a good swirl round. She's doing it beautifully. You're sweeping round and round. Think you're really trying to pick up any virus that might be right up your nostril. Good circle round. Up the other nostril, same again, sweeping round for a count of about 10 seconds or 10 sweeps. So now, on the end of there, we've got the juice that's containing the virus, possibly, but hopefully not. So now we need to put it into the buffer fluid so that we can then use that to put in the sample port. So Jemima will pick up the little pipette, because it will turn into a pipette, put it in. Now the bottom part, she'll keep hold of the wand, and the bottom part is soft. So you're now going to, that bit at the bottom, you're going to hold onto the bottom there with the fingers and massage it. So it's like you're wringing out a cloth, that you're turning that round and you're squeezing. It's very soft, the bottom of the pipette, and you're squeezing it round for 15 seconds. We want to get all that juice that's on your little bottle brush that's been up your nose, we want to get as much of it we can into the buffering solution so that we can actually test it properly. So 15 seconds of that, then you squeeze the bottom and pull the bottle brush through so that you get the maximum amount of fluid, so you don't end up with a load of fluid coming out on the bottle brush. Really done, excellent. And that can go straight into the bin. Now I think this is just a neat bit of design. That little top swivels over the top. Try not to touch the actual top, but that's beautiful. It swivels over and you press it down. Lovely. So now by magic it's turned from a test tube into a pipette. Now if you remember what I said, S is for sample. Check there's no bubbles in it. When you get the home testing, if it's the little sushi thing, don't squirt it in, drop it in, because if you get bubbles, you'll get a void test. It won't work because it gets airlocks. So now you tip it up slightly above it, at a little bit of a height, because you don't want to touch that sample port. So it's 1 and 2. Now that goes in the bin. You set your alarm. Stop, that's it. And I really do suggest you write on it the time as well, because if something goes wrong with your alarm, then you will know what time you did it. Then you should see, as you watch it, it looks purple at first, it does turn white, a little purpley line comes up, and you should see the C, that's for control. That just means that the actual unit is working. Then at 30 minutes, no longer than 30 minutes, you read it. So the T is the test. So you want that to not show. You want to look at it in 30 minutes and just have the one red line. If you have 2 red lines, so there's a line by the T and a line by the C, it test. You need to have a test to confirm it, a PCR test. It means it's a positive result. But remember what I said, a positive result could be you've had it within the last 90 days, you just didn't know that you had it, but we would have to treat you as a positive. And we will talk, we'll give you a ring and we'll talk through what you have to do according to whatever the latest guidelines will be at the time for that. But what I suggest you do at home is it shouldn't be read after 30 minutes, and you can't really read it much before 30 minutes because it'll give a false result. Ideally, it's sort of bang on the 30 minutes. But if you set it for 30 minutes and you're sitting on the toilet and the alarm goes, by the time you get downstairs, it's now 33 minutes, you don't know if it's a true result. So I suggest you set an alarm for 28 minutes. So at 28 minutes, you go and look at it and it'll look clear and you think, that's okay, that's fine. So when you're in school, at this point, you can go back to lessons because we'll keep an eye on the clock for you. When you're at home, you just need to make sure you keep an eye on it. It's got to be on a flat surface and a clean surface, so it doesn't have to be sterile. It just needs to be a clean surface. So I think a plate would work quite well at home because your plates are clean, and then you can keep it flat because you wouldn't, if you tipped it up, it would fall out. So any questions, Jemima?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So hopefully when the tests actually arrive, the self-tests, it should be very, very similar. I think the only difference is going to be, rather than the buffer fluid, you'll have a little, like a sushi thing, and just make sure you don't squirt it in, otherwise you'll get the bubbles. If you get the bubbles, when you try to put the sample into the sample port, a little dome of air bubble happens. Sometimes you can suck it back up, but sometimes you can't, and then you'd have to do the test again. Jemima did her nose very well, but there is a video of me doing my nose and I'm sneezing and I'm crying, tears are pouring down my eyes, so it's not actually something you want to do a second time. So do it properly first time, then you won't have to do it a second time. But honestly, it's so easy, girls, and it's not uncomfortable really. It's just not particularly pleasant, but it's 10 seconds each side, 20 seconds of your life of discomfort. And I think the great thing about having these tests means we can feel confident that within the school, we know if anyone's going to be positive. You're going to do them twice a week. If you end up positive you're negative and then positive, don't worry, probably haven't infected all your friends. Your viral load was rising, so we're going to catch you before you're infective. And I just think it gives us so much more confidence. I want you all back at school. We want to be able to go to lessons normally, and this is a great tool to mean that we can actually get back to school and enjoy ourselves, meet our friends, have fun, learn lots of things. So please embrace it. And I look forward to seeing you when you've got your appointment for your first one. Thank you.